Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for joining us. Got another great show lined up for you, as usual. So glad you're here. Just want to mention a couple of show notes before I introduce my guest. Got, as always, the show notes for today are up on the blog right now at shaneplays.com. That's ShanePlays.com. And you can go there and you can see the news items, and you can get notes on my guest and that sort of thing. At any time, just make that helpful. So if you're listening, you're like, hey, I don't know what they were talking about, or I want to know more about what they were talking about, then those notes are right there for your convenience at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays.com. Also, we are on a temporary station change, and that started October 8th, and I think we go through November 12th. So if you're hearing this on Faith Talk 99.5 on Saturdays at 1 o'clock, that's a temporary station change due to Ouachita Baptist football, and we'll be back on our normal station of 96.5 I think starting November 19th. So we're normally on sister station 96.5 at 1 o'clock on Saturdays, but just for 6 weeks, we're over here on 99.5. So if you're like, what the heck is this show? It's a temporary station change, but we hope you like it, and we hope that you follow us when we go back over to our normal station 96.5. And during this time, we are rebroadcasting the show pre-recorded on Sundays at 5 o'clock on 96.5 following the Hannity show, from what I understand. So that's cool. And speaking of pre-recorded, we do go out as a podcast on the blog at shaneplays.com that I mentioned earlier. We go out on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. So you can follow us as a podcast. Also throw that up on YouTube on youtube.com/GoShanePlays. And last, we're carried, also pre-recorded, a week delayed on Krypton Radio. We're on Saturday mornings and, Saturday mornings Pacific time, but we're at 1 o'clock on Saturdays and 1 o'clock on Mondays, which is 11 a.m. Pacific time, on Krypton Radio. KryptonRadio.com is SciFi for your Wi-Fi. Last, this is talk radio. It's Geek Talk Radio. It's not just a podcast, although I love podcasts. It's live over-the-air talk radio. And you can call in at 501-823-0965, whether you're listening locally over the air or you're listening online. You can go to the Faith Talk 99.5 website during this temporary station change and listen online. So you can call in at 501-823-0965 if you have a question for me or the guest. Or you could tweet Shane Plays, ShanePlays. Okay, last show note, and then I'll introduce my guest, is Shane Plays show sponsor, Troll Lord Games, has the new Kickstarter, The Adventurer's Backpack, which is very similar to what Unearthed Arcana was to D&D back in the day, when Unearthed Arcana came out and added all this extra cool stuff that nobody had before to the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So check that out. And they've also got to go look on YouTube, look for Edge Meat Productions, and look for a short film called Emmy, E-M-M-Y. They just released that last night, and it's another very clever post-apocalyptic short film that also advertises Castles and Crusades. It's a very cool advertising thing. Now, now that I've mentioned all that stuff, I want to introduce my guest, who's also a friend of mine, the video game professor, historian, and author, Mr. Matt Barton of Matt Chat fame. Matt, are you with us, buddy?
I'm with you, Shane. How's it going?
Good, man. So glad to talk to you. Some people may or may not know that we're friends in real life, but we're also peers when it comes to doing gaming news and stuff like that. And if people by some chance don't know, you have a very well-known YouTube channel interview series called Matt Chat.
literally watched by dozens of people.
Dozens, well, more than dozens. But yeah, it's highly regarded. You interview people from gaming, and you document a lot of the history of the games and the gaming industry as a whole. And there's highly regarded, just to mention one, Brian Fargo, but others, respect what you're doing, documenting the history of video games to the point that they support you on Patreon. So, and you've written a lot of companion books in history of game development and that sort of thing. So, before we move on to the news segment, anything else you want to tell people about yourself?
Well, I just did a first time ever interview at St. Cloud State's television studio. First ever face-to-face Matt Chat interview. That was with David Wesley, one of the original. You were just talking about Dungeons and Dragons, actually. So this is one of the guys that was there with Dave Arneson and
wow,
Gary Gygax and all of them way back in the day. So 2 hours of stuff. So yeah, if you want to hear about Dungeons and Dragons, and it turns out he's also a Coleco. He worked at Coleco for a while. So if you like ColecoVisions or Dungeons and Dragons, be sure to tune in.
Well, and now
it's not going to look anything like my older Matt Chat. So
yeah, because you actually recorded this at the television studio at St. Cloud University, right, in Minnesota?
Yeah, they had this giant, basically a green room, and they put in a sort of, kind of reminded me of the deck of the Star Trek Enterprise.
Right.
And TNG-like background on it, so it's pretty neat.
Okay, so do you now was that a one-time thing, or are you going to start doing your Matt Chats from there?
Man, I would love to do more like that, but the problem is it just so happened that Dave is from St. Paul. He's either from St. Paul or Minneapolis. Hope I didn't screw that up.
Right. So he was a hometown guy that helped arrange it.
Yeah, he was willing to drive on up.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, though. I mean, I don't know how many people would be willing to. Even if I were going to pay their airfare and everything, I don't know how many people.
Yeah, willing to come in for that. I got you. Well, maybe you can make that a Patreon level. If you hit a certain level, you can fly people in. Folks, don't forget, people like Matt, especially people like Matt. Now, I've got sponsors who help cover a good bit of the show expenses. They don't cover everything, but they cover a whole lot of it. I'm very blessed to have them. But people like Matt depend entirely on like Patreon support. So check out his channel, and if you like it, maybe he's doing really important. I love what I'm doing, but he's doing something on another level. He's actually documenting game history and the personal stories of the people behind the games that will be used for decades to come. People will be referencing his stuff for a long time.
And it's important work to be done for sure, because a lot of these guys, Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, both passed away now.
Yep, gone. Yeah.
It wouldn't be great if we had some really exhaustive interviews up on YouTube with them.
Yeah, I would love that. Now, we just lost not too long ago. Who was the guy that invented? Was it Ralph Baer that invented the first?
We lost Dwayne Jenkins.
Yeah. Now with
the brownstone. I think it was Brown's. What was it? The old Western. He's basically the guy that moved what was sort of proto D&D from historical settings, like Napoleonic campaign, that sort of thing. His innovation was the Old West,
right?
Like Hollywood Western setting. Which, if you think about it, that's a pretty big leap.
It's huge, yeah. So, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. And, of course, that's how we met, because I got your book, Dungeons and Desktops, and then I found Matt Chat, or was it the other way around? One of the two. And then we just, we got to know each other. And, so I love this stuff. I could listen to it, all day long. But anyway, and you've got a new book out that we're going to be talking about on the show today, Vintage Games 2.0.
Vintage Games 2.0.
2.0. And it's the 100, an insider look at the most influential games of all time. Is it 100? How many games you have in here, buddy?
I've got 50 games.
50, yeah. And so we're going to be talking about that during the main interview today. But before that, I've got a special game only. Well, there may be one news item that's not related to games, but in your honor, most if not all of the news items today will involve video games. So let's listen in on Steve. You got the special hot microphone in on the news team in there. Yep. There they go, working on Saturday. And those guys work hard. All right. And don't forget, I mentioned Patreon. For every $1 of Patreon support that the show gets, they get a penny an hour raise. So, I mean, that's a deal. And I want to thank my Patreon supporters. They've raised over $400 for the show. And I really appreciate that. I can't stress enough how much that helps. But I don't want, and Matt doesn't say this about his show either, I don't want people to think that you have to support by Patreon or you can't listen to the show or anything like that. But if you like Geek Talk Radio, which I don't think anybody else is doing that I know of, I'd love to have your support if you like it. But, it's going to keep
the stuff you like.
There you go. Support the stuff you like. Okay, so here's the first news item. I love this, Matt. All right, I think we talked a little bit about this on Facebook. Steam runs out of Splinter Cell game keys during a sale. And that's from Engadget. So Steam had a sale on Splinter Cell Blacklist, and they almost immediately ran out of keys when people came to buy the game on Steam. Now, you're a smart guy. You're a PhD. What doesn't add up about that picture?
How couldn't they just generate however many keys they wanted to generate?
Right. Isn't that one of the advantages supposedly of digital? So, as far as I could...
not. What did the Russians hack it or something?
Yeah, the Russians hacked it to attack the political campaign. That's what happened.
Got to come back to that somehow.
Yeah, somehow. So, I guess they almost immediately ran out of keys. After that, you just received a fail to contact key server when trying to play the stealth action title. Steam support and developer Ubisoft promised the keys would arrive on October 30th, but there were still reports of CD keys issues as of that afternoon. So I don't know. Some people have gotten refunds, whatever. So I guess...
Is it that their keys they're getting aren't working, or they're just
not getting keys?
There's no key.
There's no key delivered. So now that this was on Halloween, right? This article was from Halloween, so maybe it's gotten resolved since then. But I don't see an update on the article, and the article says they did reach out to Valve and Ubisoft. So
considering it's Splinter Cell, I'm almost wondering if there's some kind of metagaming.
Oh yeah, I guess
augmented reality game or something associated with this.
I could see possibly something doing that, but you think it would happen in such a way that it would lead them to invest. Like, oh well, we can't find your key. Maybe follow this link to find out what's going on. Not just there's no key. So, drawing the
That's
curtain.
Interesting. I can actually tie this back to the book. I got a chapter in here about Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that game came out and all the hubbub about, this is going to be Steam? What the heck is the Steam thing?
Yeah,
and I don't want to buy a game if I have to have a connection.
Yeah.
And everybody thought he was crazy.
Yep.
What, Gabe Newell?
And then it took off. Yep.
I guess now they're vindicated, right?
What's the first game you ever bought off Steam?
Oh.
I know mine.
Great question.
I know mine.
I know I was one of the people that got burned by buying a used copy of Half-Life 2 and then figuring out it was...
Yeah.
I just bought a box.
Yeah, all I bought was a box because somebody's already used the key.
I don't remember the first one. I completely forgot.
I bought my first Steam game. I think my second Steam game was Portal. But my first Steam game was Ragdoll Kung Fu.
Oh man, I was hoping you'd say Super Bombad Racing.
Yes, Star Wars Super Mega Bombad Racing as the best game ever made. We're gonna have to do a whole show just on Super Bombad Racing. Nice.
Just one show?
Yeah. They're right. That should be a whole series of shows. Our friend David Beatty, our mutual friend David Beatty, sent a message that he thinks it's all just an excuse so they can sell the game at the regular prices.
I neglected to mention during the live show that David is actually the driving force behind Mega Wars, which is one of our main ongoing sponsors, and we appreciate them and all of our sponsors very much. So get on over to megawars.net and check out the 30-day resetting space strategy MMO game.
So anyway, obviously, even on Steam, they have a set amount of keys.
Why don't you buy that particular game if you don't mind my...
What, Ragdoll Kung Fu?
Yeah, what was so?
Because it was this.
Were you open to the idea of Steam from the get go?
No, I think I had to. I think that was the only way you could buy it was on Steam. It was an indie game, and it was using these crazy physics, like before physics really, like goofy physics in games really became a big deal, and it had this crazy physics fighting style in it. And I just wanted to check it out, so I had to do it through Steam, and I still fondly remember it. It was a lot of fun. I've still got it, so. Well, of course I've got it. I got Steam.
Get a copy of it. Is it a co-op or competitive kind of online?
Yeah, it had multiplayer, but it also had a single-player storyline. It just had a really, really strange fight. Now, these days with so many indie games out there, it may not even be considered that big of a deal, but this was mid-2000s. Yeah, Ragdoll Kung Fu. So, all right, moving on. Nintendo, this is our friend Adam posted this on Facebook. I picked this up. NeoGAF. NeoGAF. I don't know how do you pronounce that.
How do you say that?
I don't know. I'm gonna say NeoGAF because I'm sure it's related to gaming, which is well-known forums. Yeah, GAF, NeoGAF, and the link is on ShanePlays.com on the show notes. Nintendo is bringing back its hotline to help market the NES Classic Edition. Did you see this?
Oh wow!
Did you see this?
Have you told them the story of this?
Yeah, so Adam posted this to our Facebook group, and Adam from Fragments of Silicon, by the way, Adam Dayton, and they're doing several, because I think on November 11th,
Bridget have her job back.
Yeah, Bridget. Yeah, I'm still going to do a whole series. Yeah, Nintendo Power Hotline. How can I help you? Yeah, Bridget. I don't know what to do with my life. Hold on a second. Press down, left, right. Thanks, Bridget. So, anyway, we've got, and I just see Bridget filing her nails, right, while she's answering these phone calls and chewing on bubble gum. But anyway,
make phone calls anymore, though.
Well, they're going to do it. Yeah. Cause most people are joking around. They're like, hello, Game Facts. But what this is it's all about, because on November 11th, they're releasing that miniature version of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Classic, right? That has like 30 games built in.
Did they ever decide on a name for that? Or?
Yeah, it's the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. Edition. Yeah, and it's basically the original NES, but smaller. You plug it into your TV and you can play like 30 games that are already built in.
You can't plug in your old cartridge.
You cannot. No, it's just the stuff that's already on the ROM, I guess, if you will. So they're going to have all these.
Blow into the cartridge slot on it, then.
I don't know. I guess it's just for decoration. So. An enterprising person will probably sell stuff that you can plug into it and bling out your Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. But but as part of the hype, the marketing surrounding it, they're bringing back the power line for 3 days only. So
3 days?
3 days only. Yeah, you can call from November 11th through 13th from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. You can call 425-885-7529, and you can reach Bridget at the Nintendo Power Line.
There's no easy to remember sort of acronym.
No, it's just 425-885-7529. And I guess because it's
can rattle that off. I mean, you're ready for this shit.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. And obviously they're not trying to make money off of it because it's not a what are those 900 numbers, whatever those numbers were back in the day. That they would charge you.
Get your parents' permission before you call.
You get your parent. In this one, I guess you don't need it because you can just call in. I actually called the Nintendo Power Hotline.
Probably get your parents' help to figure out how to dial a phone.
Yeah, to dial a phone. Yeah, like what? I have to call a phone number to get game advice? Where's this on the internet? Yeah,
have a rotary dial.
This is how we used to do it. We'd pull over the covered wagon, and we'd find a phone booth. And we'd call the Nintendo. Steve, did you ever call the Nintendo Power Hotline? Hold on, Steve's producer.
Never called Nintendo, but yeah.
But you called
I've
a couple
the
of
numbers. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they're bringing this back for 3 days.
Other hotlines.
I called the hotline back in the day a couple times. So, all right. A couple. Yeah, not a whole. I wasn't a big Nintendo guy. I mean, I played some Nintendo games, but I played more computer games. So,
I'm actually curious how many kids racked up. What was it, by the minute, right? So much.
Yeah, something like that, or per call,
how much did you had to talk on it before your parents really had to have a sit down?
Have a very special episode. Yeah, let's have a very special episode about call-in numbers. All right, so moving on, we've got, speaking of Nintendo, we have more details on the Nintendo Switch, which is, of course, the new console that's coming out. Now, I know you're into, and I know you've written...
What was the NX? Is that the Switch now?
The NX has become the Switch, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a home console, but also a on-the-go console. It does both. And it's supposedly going to use a 6.2-inch 720p 10-point multi-touch capacitive screen. Say that 3 times fast. And if that's accurate, and this article is courtesy of TechSpot, if accurate, it will upgrade from 3DS and Wii U's resistive single-touch only screens. And supposedly, it's going to use the NVIDIA Tegra chip. I don't know what that means, Matt, but it sounds impressive to say. It's going to use, it's going to use the NVIDIA Tegra chip, right? And then it's also supposedly going to have 4 gigabytes of RAM, which will double the amount found in the Wii U. So it's
hard to tell with Nintendo they're always doing this sort of strange stuff, and sometimes it works out. You got the Wii.
The Wii was amazing. I still think the Wii
never
was
would have predicted. Would you have predicted that was going to be such a huge thing?
I was pretty into it. I was really impressed with the demo when they rolled out at E3 and showed the Wiimote controller. I don't think I would have guessed that it got as big as it did, but I thought that they had something in their hand. I thought they had lightning in a bottle. But I don't think
the 3DS is going to do a lot better. I guess it's done okay. But.
Yeah, well, the DS is still like a mainstay. I mean, the DS, like they're saying, the DS is not going away. The
3DS.
Yeah, well, yeah, the DS line, the 3DS, right? They're saying it's not going away. And the other bit of information that we've got here is now the Switch is not going to use discs; it's going to use cartridges, and they'll come in a standard size of 16 gigabytes. So.
That is truly amazing.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, they keep going after.
People only have about 4 or 5 games for those Nintendo systems anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. It's console success
you got your
always.
Mario, your Zelda, your Mario Kart, your.
Yep. Yeah, you got your
beat 'em up one.
Yeah, you got your Mario,
Super
your
Smash.
Zelda, Mario Kart. What are the other? The Smash. Yeah, that stuff. It always comes down to third-party developers develop for your console. That's what it always comes down to. And the Wii U, they did not. So the Wii U tanked. So we'll see. I don't want to see Nintendo. I don't want to see any of them tank. I want them all to have popular consoles because then gaming's healthier and more people are playing games. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been I don't associate my identity with what console I play. There's some people that do.
For a Sega fanboy.
Yeah. I liked. My roommate had the Dreamcast. I loved the Dreamcast. I had a Genesis back in the day. Yeah, they're great.
I have mine.
Do you really?
Yeah, it still works great.
Yeah. People need to watch your shows just so they can see all the cool stuff you have on the shelves behind you. All right, got another piece of exciting video game. We'll come up on a break here in a second, and then we'll talk about your book. But another piece of exciting video game news here. Deadpool's Tim Miller is developing a new Sonic the Hedgehog movie. What do you think about that?
Whoa. Okay, yeah, this
it's
gonna need some time to blast process.
Yeah, you gotta. Okay, they're gonna make a hybrid CG animated / live action family film. So
Is
yeah,
Sonic still a thing? I guess he's still a popular character.
I guess, yeah, and and seeing how well Pixels did, the smash that it was. This makes all the sense in the world. And
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Well,
is this like a straight to video type of project?
No, man, this is like major stuff. And what's even funnier is what amuses. They're making a family film. Steve, I got to get your reaction. I'm going to look you right in the eyes on this one, Steve. A family film by the guy that did Deadpool. That's all I'm saying, right? I love it. The delicious irony.
It is crazy.
The delicious irony of it all. So, all right. Do you have any more thoughts on our news tidbits there? If not, I'm going to take us to a break, and we are going to talk about your book.
I had more to say about that. I'm kind of reeling.
Are you what some people?
I mean, I don't know what's weird that they're making it at all, or that the Deadpool guys make it.
Are you?
The more I think about it, it's sort of starting to make sense, though.
Yeah. Oh no.
Sonic's kind of a
smart aleck,
bad behavior kind of guy, right? And Deadpool.
Yeah. And he's Sonic has his face looks like a zombie, and he's impossible to kill, and he cracks wise. Yeah. I'm there. I wonder if
is this going to be a family-friendly Sonic movie?
Supposedly. Yeah, but I think they're going to market it as the first R-rated family-friendly movie.
Wasn't there a Sonic the Hedgehog just animated series?
There was, and it was well remembered.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but I know people loved it. So Professor Robotnik, wasn't that the bad guy?
Robotnik?
Think so, yeah. That's a great name. So, all right, I got to take us to a break so we could talk to Matt about his Vintage Games 2.0 book. When we come back, we're going to talk more with video game professor and author and host of the internet series Matt Chat right here on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate Battle of the Galaxies. Grab your slot today for the only online game where tactics and strategy still reign supreme. Visit Megawars.net and get options only available in our special pre-sales previews running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. Remember, this is live talk radio. If you happen to be listening at 1 o'clock on Saturday, it's live. You can call in 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays, ShanePlays. And we had a buddy of ours earlier hit me up on Facebook, and I talked about that on air. So if you can reach me, I will get it on air. So I've got as my guest today, my friend and video game professor and author, Matt Barton, who also just happens to be the host of one of the best gaming related YouTube channels out there. He does interviews and also occasionally retrospectives of games. Matt Barton, and we're talking today about his new book, Vintage Games 2.0, which, as you could tell by the title, is an update of a previous book that he worked on. So, Matt, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks. I was just on the Nintendo hotline.
Were you? How's Bridget doing?
Bridget, she's doing good.
Bridget, how do I best build my characters in Skyrim? Press up, down, left twice. Thanks, Bridget.
It still works.
Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to stand at the lava, and when the fire pixie jumps across 3 times, then you can jump. So all right, anyway. I love Bridget. Okay, so I'm holding this book in my hand, Matt. People go to shameplays.com and they can check out the show notes to get a link to this.
I love the cover on this one.
Yeah, the cover's great. It looks good. I'll tell you. I got it.
The Retro Gamer magazine artist.
Oh, is that who did that?
Yeah, what's this? Does it say his name on there? Surely.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Hold on a second. So it's Vintage Games 2.0, an insider look at the most influential games of all time by Matt Barton. And it looks great. Yeah, I'm looking for the cover.
I'm not saying the name, but anyway, it's the it's terrible.
Yeah. Huh.
They usually put that on the copyright. Maybe it says it on the jack.
It's in the acknowledgments. Yeah, it should say it somewhere. One would assume.
It's got to be there somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the Retro Gamer artist. Looks great. It mixes in all, multiple genres and eras of gaming into one big chaotic, cool thing. And there's 50 games listed in here. And this doesn't mean that they're the best games of all time. It means that they're the most influential. Okay. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've got it split up into multiple sections. You got the innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. And it goes all the way from Space War with an exclamation point up to Minecraft.
Yeah, you got to get that exclamation point.
Yeah, it is. Exclamation point in.
Space War!
Yeah, up to Minecraft. Now, let me tell you what I like about this book. A lot of times when you get books like this, it'll have a very colorful cover, and then you open it up and it's all black and white inside. Because you got to save money with the screenshots and stuff, right?
And that's not what you want when you're talking about a game.
Yeah, and there are multiple photos and screenshots in here for every game covered, and it's all in color. It's a good-looking book, and it's laid out well. I'm very impressed with this book. So, and it's, as I understand, it's for sale right now, right?
Oh, yeah, it's been out for maybe a month now.
Yeah, Vintage Games 2.0. If you consider yourself a gamer, not just, every now and then I play with my buddies on the console. If you consider yourself a gamer, you need to have this book. If you consider yourself well-versed at all in the history, in the industry of gaming, and you don't have this book, I scoff at thee. You hear that? I scoff at thee if you don't have this book. So... Your what is it? Your mother smelled of elderberries? How does that insult go? So.
And your father smelled of elderberries,
or something like that.
Oh man, we're not representing today.
We are. No, we're not representing at all. So anyway,
Thor, by the way, is the name of the artist.
What's his name?
Thor Thorvaldsen.
Okay,
so
I'm glad we gave him some love. So let me just kind of point out some of the games that are in here. And another thing I want to mention about this, a lot of compilation books like this, well, not compilation, that's the wrong word. A lot of books that cover a lot of different games or whatever like this, they'll have these one-page fluff entries for each game.
Oh yeah,
and then this has. Every game has multiple pages that tell you about the history of the game, the human drama in some cases behind the game.
That's what I was very serious this time around. One of the criticisms of that first book was, it's great, but this is basically the same information that's on Wikipedia.
Right.
Now, never mind that if you actually look at the Wikipedia pages, they're actually quoting our book.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, no, this
time around, I'm like, forget all that. If you want just the facts, there's plenty of places to go. I want to tell the stories.
Yeah, these are essays on each game. They tell you about the game, why the game's fun or why it was influential, the history of the game, and information on the people who made the game, their story.
Yeah, the drama.
Yeah, the drama. And trust me, people, I used to have a pastor that say people are messy little things. And if you have something made by people, there's human drama behind it. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
there's some really interesting people. I mean, as you know, you've met several.
Yeah.
A lot of these game developers, programmers, they're pretty eccentric people.
Oh, well, we had
you could make so many movies about just there's so much.
Well, they could do a whole TV series about Berger Heinemann. I mean, she's fascinating to talk to. All the stuff she's done.
Yeah,
yeah. So, and of course, you've gotten to talk to so many people, in the game.
Most of these are extremely intelligent people.
Yeah. Yep.
You feel smarter just by talking to them.
Yeah. Yep. And what I love is when you were talking. Oh, I was talking to this guy about D&D and found out he's a huge Coleco guy. Or I was talking to. You just interviewed him as well, Don Wilkins, and I thought I was talking to him about his Stellar Tactics RPG, and it turned, no, I was, I worked on Wizardry, and I was over here, and I was at Sierra, and you're like, what?
Yeah, he's a great example of this problem with game developers, and designers. They tend not to value the contributions that they made. I made this game back in the 80s, and I'm sure everybody's forgotten all about it.
Yeah, no, and it's
like, no, they haven't.
No, nobody's forgotten it, dude. Nobody.
These are like cherished parts of our childhood.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a piece of trivia for you. On page 9, when you're talking about Space War, and it had that really that unique game console arcade cabinet for Space War, and you show that they used it in Soylent Green. It was also in the lady's apartment in Sleeper, the Woody Allen movie. So, yeah, I noticed that like a year ago when I was watching Sleeper. So, but let's go. Okay,
that's
so you've got
it's a great cabinet.
Yeah, it's just and was that Nolan Bushnell who came up?
To make of the lady at the ad, but
yeah. Hold on a second. Go to page 9.
That's pretty interesting too. If you think about how they were trying to market this stuff and trying to make it look so far out. I mean, it's a prop and a couple of weird. I guess you call those sort of avant-garde films, maybe.
Yeah. It fit those films.
It was
perfectly.
designed. They chose that cabinet in the movie because it looks so weird.
Yeah, and like futuristic. Yeah. So, all right. So we've got you've split up. You've got the Innovators and a couple of the games. You got Space War, Pong, and I like your little set. You got Space War. It's rocket science. Space Invaders, the Japanese invasion. Zork. Sticking graphics where the sun don't shine. Mud, Swords with Friends.
One of their classic advertisements.
Oh, is that? I didn't realize that's where that came from.
I don't know how many of your listeners will know about Zork, but that's a text adventure game, so there's no graphics at all.
Yeah, I remember.
So all their advertisements, they tried to make that a selling point, believe it or not.
Right. Well, you turn
our graphics technology is your own imagination.
Yeah, your own, only limited by your imagination.
Yeah.
And then I love
it has appeal.
I love Mud. Swords were so instead of words were friends, swords were friends. I played a lot of Muds and Mushes and all that back in the day. I used to play one called Dark Metal that was a mesh of cyberpunk in the world of darkness. That was very, very strange.
Multi-user.
Shared hallucination. Yeah, Mud was multi-user dungeon. Moo was Mud, object-oriented. So
what else did you have? Muck face name?
Yeah, they had Muxes and just all kinds of stuff. So then you had the early adopters, like Pac-Man, Gamers Just Want to Have Lunch, Donkey Kong, Pitfall, Flight Simulator.
Yeah, those are the hardcore types that are out there just spending big sums of money. And well, they're the ones that really took the big risks for us.
Right. Oh, and I see the first role-playing game computer role-playing game is both Wizardry and Ultima make the early adopters. Ultima actually gets entered twice because the Ultima Online also makes it into the book. And I'm guessing I haven't.
If I had more chapters, I would have put one in for Ultima Underworld too.
Yeah, because and again, these aren't the quote-unquote best games of all time because that's subjective. These are the most influential games. These games influenced the game industry like no other games like them. These are the ones that really left their mark on developers.
These are the games you really want to know about.
Yeah, if you want to know. Yeah, and you got, Early Majority, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, SimCity, Pool of Radiance. How can you not talk about the gold box games? My goodness.
Yeah. I had to put in my, when you do a book like this, one of the big advantages is you get to put your own little personal favorites in there.
Yeah. And there was that one of them.
Pool of Radiance. This is a book by Matt Barton. There's going to be Pool of Radiance in there.
Well, I think it could also be argued that
later.
anytime you talk about computer role-playing games in the history, the gold box games from SSI come up. So, I think it's a happy conjunction of the fact that it's one of your personal favorites, but it also legitimately belongs in the book.
True, licensed Dungeons and Dragons kind of experience you could get. I mean, there are all kinds of knockoffs and similar things and arcadey kind of games. But I mean, that's the first time that I really felt like I was playing at least something like Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
Well, it blew. I've shared this before. Our mutual friend Johnny Wood, who does the Ultima Online, or not the Ultima Online, the Classic Ultima project at ShatteredMoon.com.
Didn't he work on that?
What's that?
Didn't he do Lord of the Rings Online?
Yeah, he works at Turbine on Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons and Dragons Online. Yep, sure does. But I was at his house in high school, and I saw Pool of Radiance, and my head exploded. I was like, what is this? I mean, I was just like, wow, totally blown away. We're going to have to get another break in. When we come back, we're going to talk about the late majority and the laggards, and then, anything else that we want to mention in this book. But again, this is Vintage Games 2.0, an insider look at the most influential games of all time by Matt Barton. It's out now. It's full color. Each entry is an essay on the game. It's not just some little, Wikipedia article pretending to be a book. It's a full essay on the game, the history of the game, why the game is influential, and the people and the human drama behind making the game. So I'm going to get another break in. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about your book here, Matt. But first of all, some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees, Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Tell them Shane Plays sent you.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate Battle of the Galaxies. Grab your slot today for the only online game where tactics and strategy still reign supreme. Visit Megawars.net and get options only available in our special pre-sales previews running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. I'm your host, Shane Stacks, joined by Matt Barton, video game professor. He's literally a PhD at St. Cloud University in Minnesota. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, I look back so fondly on that box of Captain Crunch cereal.
You are a certified card-carrying professor who also happens to be way into the history of video games and playing video games. I mean, you're a gamer yourself today. I was telling
Look at these elbow patches. I mean,
yeah, you're legit in the pipe. Yeah, there you go. I was telling our friends recently that we were going to have to stage an intervention on you on Civilization 6. So
no.
What do you think of Civ 6?
Actually, there's an intervention already. It's called Dungeon Rats.
Oh yeah, the new dungeon crawler from the Age of Decadence folks. What do you think?
Oh, I've just played it maybe half an hour so far, but it's I'm already liking it better than the Age of Decadence.
Yeah, well, it's a different type of game. It's dungeon.
It's a different type of game. It's kind of an apples and oranges. I mean, Dungeon Rats is more like the kind of game I want to sit down and and just play.
Well, I'll tell you,
I don't have to have an appreciation for all the, how. I think a lot of game designers feel like they have to make their game really different. And
sometimes you just want to kill stuff.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to kill some stuff.
You just want to explore the dungeon.
Way.
Sometimes you just want to explore the dungeon and kill stuff. I don't care about the ecology of the dungeon. I don't care about the motivations of all that. I want to knock over this door or open this door and see what's in there and kill it. So,
in this game, you're in there making decisions like, do I want to fast hack with the axe or do a power blow or, this and this. And you got this number of action points. And, the guy has this many. I mean, you're really getting down to that level.
I like action point systems. I love action points. I mean, that's what attracted me to the original Fallouts was that action point combat system. Loved it.
Oh, it's a great system.
Yeah, by the way, so we're on Faith Talk 99.5 on Saturdays. That's going to go for a couple more weeks because our normal station of 96.5 FM, The Answer, sister station, has football going on right now. So if you're hearing this on 99.5, you're like, what the heck? Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. It's temporary. Hope you enjoyed the show, but it is temporary. We're normally over on 96.5 FM, The Answer, and you can catch us by podcast. And we replay during this temporary time change on 96.5. 5 o'clock on Sundays following the Sean Hannity show, if I understand correctly. So, which is
correct.
I think we could tie the two together a little bit. I mean, I don't know if you've read that Mist chapter yet.
I have. Oh no!
What do you think about those guys? I didn't realize they came from that. Was it tent makers?
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, and creating the world one tent at a time. Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Clearly, their faith had a lot to do with the making and design of that Mist series.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you get into what's really going on behind the scenes, absolutely. There's a lot of it's and if you believe in something and you have a strong faith in something, it's hard for that somehow not to come into something you create, even if you're trying not to. Because it just informs so much of how you think and whatnot. So, but yeah, there's 50 games in here total. This is Vintage Games 2.0, an insider look at the most influential games of all time. Which is an update of a previous book that Matt worked on. It's full color. Every chapter covers the history of a game, why the game is influential,
how to get it running today, where you can find it, the people involved, the human drama behind the game. You've really just a great example of this. And people can go find. There's a Matt Chat episode where you read your chapter on Sim City just a few weeks back.
That's a perfect example of what this book brings you. The history behind SimCity making it to store shelves is just fascinating. So, because it was so different. But you've got arcade twitchy games in here. You've got text-only games. You've got pinball construction set. You've got space simulators. You've got Civilization. You've got computer RPGs. You've got Super Mario Brothers.
2.
Yeah, you got Street Fighter 2. Let's see. Is that what you said, Street Fighter 2?
Yeah, I was going to say you could write a whole book just about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
That's been done, actually.
Well, they're going to make a movie. Let's see. Sonic the Hedgehog, Ultima Online. You got 2 different MMOs in here. You got Ultima Online.
You know, one of the ones that I liked to write the best, and
What's that?
I was surprised by this, was the John Madden football chapter.
Oh, why? Now, we're starting to get short on time, but why did that surprise you?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about football, and I didn't know a whole lot about the series. But just reading, there's an incredible amount of drama. And I love the idea that John Madden himself basically used his own sort of veto power to make the game the way that it turned out to be.
Which was good.
Yeah. So he was just face on the box.
Yeah, they didn't he wasn't just a rubber stamp on the box. Right. Yeah, he was actually.
That is so cool. I don't know how you think about all the other games like Earl Weaver's baseball. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that, because when you buy something that somebody's name is on it, you're buying it because their name's on it. So you hope something of their excellence goes into it. Right, Steve?
Yeah, that's exactly what John Madden did. I had Madden 96.
Did you really?
For my PC. And he was, I think Earl Weaver, you used the example of, just rubber stamp. But John Madden said, my name's on this.
I'm all up in there.
Exactly what it's supposed to be.
And that's the kind of thing that you can find out by reading Vintage Games 2.0, an insider look at the most influential games of all time by Matt Barton, which is out right now. And you can go to shaneplays.com on the show notes and find a link to it right there to Amazon. So what game, we got about a minute left in the show, live radio. There's, time is a predator that stalks us all our lives. Time. What game do you think that you're going to get in trouble for not being in here?
Ooh. Get in trouble?
Yeah, like people are like, how could you not make that one of the most influential games of all time?
Oh, great question. I wish I had a great response lined up. I'm trying to think what it might be.
Well, it's Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Super Bombad Racing, Matt.
Yeah, I totally dropped the ball. Well, I figured,
even Bridget,
direct your own book.
Bridget, if you call Bridget at the Nintendo Power Hotline and ask her what game you're going to get in trouble for, she'll say, as she's smacking her gum and filing her nails, she'll go, Star Wars Super Mega Bombad Racing. And then, because she's going to look it up, and that's what it's going to say in the book that she looks up to give you the answer.
A lot of people wanted me to do a Star Wars game. There's several to choose from.
I can't think of a Star Wars. I can't think of a Star Wars game that's influential on that level, though. Although Knights of the Old Republic was an amazing game, I don't know. I don't think of any. I can't think of any Star Wars games that are influential on the level that you're going for with the games in this book. But I don't know.
The original Star Wars arcade game was really cool.
Yeah. Okay. That one I'll go for. All right. We got about 4 seconds. Matt, thanks for being on the show. We'll catch everybody next time on Shane Plays. Yeah, you're welcome, buddy.
I hate that hedgehog! 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 I hate that hedgehog!
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.